What is up, guys? YodaDaWise here. Been getting a few questions about SWE and RWE, which is strength and weakening effect and resistance weakening effect, and how all that works. So in today's video, we're going to dive into it, and then I have a really cool tool that I created for everybody, hopefully that anybody and everybody can utilize it and find some value in it. So let's dive into it. All right, so quite a long time ago, somebody on Theory Crafting or Theory Crafters made this slide that I've always kind of come back to whenever this question comes up. It looks like Traveler from UFF, if he even still plays the game, was a potential creator of this slide. So credit to this guy. If you're out there and watching, thank you. I did set a lot of groundwork in the beginning. This first slide basically goes over the definition of what resistance weakening effect is. It essentially counters the effect of SWE. Unlike strength and weakening effect, it does absolutely nothing for your commander other than counter strength and weakening effect. In the beginning, when they first put this out, that was one of the big questions. Resistance weakening effect does not make you 100% resistant against the opposite troop that you would normally have no resistance from in the rock, paper, scissors lineup. All it does is it lowers any advantage gained by strength and weakening effect. There's more gear and jewels at this point than this slide shows. That's why I created my spreadsheet. That'll have a lot more information on it. When it comes to SWE, it really hasn't changed in terms of gear. Other than that, we have the assault pants and Dawn Hall now, and there's also a lot of different sources for the RWE now. There's a ton more sources for RWE than there are SWE. Here is a generalized breakdown of who can be Swede and who can't. I'll leave that on the screen for a minute. You can take a screenshot of it if you want. Otherwise, like I said, this slide link will be in the description. You can get it whenever you want. Utilize it. If you have any questions on if I use this comm, is it going to, and I have enough SWE, is it going to give me 0 damage if I fight this guy? This is your breakdown. This really hasn't changed. The only thing this is missing is T12. T12 fall into the same category as 1 through 8 in the sense that they do not have dual attributes. One thing to consider when you're fighting T12, any of the first generation T12, Origin, Void, and the Void Stalker, they're going to have Tear Space. Tear Space ignores SWE. All right. So if you are battling somebody and you just don't have a gear with resistance weakening and you have somebody trying to SWE you, at the very least, run the first generation T12. The hyperspace or tear space is going to ignore SWE. Something else to consider too, there are other commanders with skills that ignore SWE. Some of those commanders fall into Bullets, Rock, Reinhardt's, Thorn's skill. They all each have a skill that ignores the SWE, and there's more too that I believe Lady Beast, her destructive power, does ignore it as well. King, his skill ignores it. Mind's Eye ignores all those special attributes that occur. So there are other ways to combat SWE, even if you don't have the resistance to combat it. So that's the last slide. So let's move on to what I created to hopefully be a better cheat sheet for those of you trying to figure out, do I have enough to SWE somebody? It's organized the way that makes sense to me. Basically what I did is this: anybody with this link will be able to access this page. You will not be able to edit anything on the actual Google Sheets page. You have to download it into the form of an Excel document. If you don't have Microsoft Excel, you can always use the free version online that Microsoft provides, and I'll put a link for that as well in the description. The reason why I did this is because if I make it open to anybody to edit at will, one, it could just get deleted, and I don't want that to happen. I spent a lot of time on this, figuring out the formulas for, if somebody has so much resistance, how much strength and weakening are you going to need to combat it or suppress that additional resistance. And I don't want anybody to screw with that on the level that nobody else will be able to get to it. So if you want to use this and utilize it and you want to edit the percentages for your use, you have to download it in a form of an Excel spreadsheet. You should be able to download it in the form of a Google spreadsheet. That way you can utilize it to your own means. On the first few columns here, A through C here, up from 1 to 6, you're going to actually see the calculator. I kind of put into concept of 0% resistance, you need 400% strengthen to fully suppress. If someone puts on the Apocalypse Hull, that's at a total of 87%, you need 534%. And this took a while to actually find the formula that, and mind you, I rounded up from the percentage that I found in terms of what that percentage is, because Arc of War, they tend to always round really oddly, and it's always up. So this would always be a little bit more than what you need to fully suppress the resistance weakening effect, just because that's how Arc of War operates. It always rounds up, and it's not always to a true rounding in terms of estimating. So this will hopefully give you enough every time, because I rounded a little higher than what I was calculating to be more in terms of exact. So with that being said, I fought with the devs a long time ago. They gave me the formula for this, and I don't know what happened to it, because it was like 4 years ago, something like 3 or 4 years ago when this first came out, and I don't know where that happened. So when they came back again, they're like, oh well, we don't know the formula, because I call them the quote support team at this point, as useless as they can be. They gave me an example of, if you have X amount of resistance, you need X amount of strengthen to counteract. Based on that, based on our base levels of knowing that 534% would combat 87%, I found the difference. I kind of went back and forth with a few of my guildmates who are also fairly good at math, and we came to the conclusion. So what's very nice about this is right here, all you have to do if you download this, you only have to change, you can just click on it even. You only have to change the resistance weakening effect percentage. So if I were to put in 100%, it automatically changes the and puts in that formula to tell me that 586% strengthen is what I need to fully suppress that. Now if I change it to 106, oops, if I change it to 160, now I need 648% to fully suppress that. So underneath it here, I have a list of star jewels, and there's also one that isn't a star jewel, which is the awakening, when you do the awakening effect, because you can go, I don't remember what the base is for awakening, so I believe it was 50, but that's 50 to 600% additional that you can add to your commander. But this is a list of all of the star jewels that give you some form of resistance weakening effect, whether that be between having a set. So if you see that we're under set needed, that there's a 2, that means that you need at least 2 different star jewels on 2 different pieces of gear to get the 30%. When it comes to like Ares, for example, Ares 2 and Ares 3 give you 12 to 30% individually. Okay. And that goes with the other ones in terms of if I've specifically listed jewel number. The only one that gives you strength and weakening effect is the set of 2 for Virgo. So like I said, there's a ton of things available for resistance. There is only so many things available for strengthening. Over here in the next few columns, I've listed all of the resistance gear and the hull, which should be this is going to give you an idea. The base stat at level 0 is the first column H, level 30, 40, and up to 50. That should give everybody a good idea of where they kind of stand with that. This is all, the blue one is going to be all of the strengthening gear and the hulls. Like I said, the list is a lot smaller when it comes between the two. There's no chest piece. It's like all the chest pieces seem to be resistance. None of them have strengthen. This was just for another concept too. Penetration is also kind of falls all into this. Not that you can counteract penetration necessarily. I believe damage resistance counteracts that, but I haven't seen any factual evidence of that from the support team. But either way, I listed all of the penetration weapons, gave you an idea of which, give yourself a goal. Okay, if I get to level 40 for these ones, I can calculate it into how much I need. On a penetration note, it has come down to that you have to have at least 97% for penetration to fully activate and be utilized, but any penetration plus attack damage is going to significantly be more than just attack damage. As we scroll over, and like I said, I try to keep it color coded so you know which one you were filling out. This one's really cool. Currently, I have for the strength and resistance tables here. I have, if you had a set at level 50 and you had the Gabriel Hall on and Virgo on it, the most strengthening effect that you can ever produce is 1017. If you go over to the resistance side, same thing. If you were to have like a really good set at level 50, and we're talking on this end, 2 weapons, headgear, a chest piece, and so one of the pants, as well as the Apocalypse Hall and a Star Jewel set, that gives you at least 30%, which is Aquarius. I put that one in there for airship purposes. That's going to give you 1017%. Now let's go over here. So let's say hypothetically you had all of that, and this isn't including the 600% that you can get from Awakening. If someone has a full set of resistance weakening effect gear at 1017%, you need at least 1976% strengthening. There is absolutely no way for you to fully suppress the gear anymore. So keep that in mind. If you see somebody with really high leveled resistance weakening effect gear, odds are you're probably not going to be able to SWE it. But the way these work, I put in the values of the top. So say you had a destruction at level 30. And say your rabbit ears were at level 30 as well, which are 240. As you see here, every time I enter in a value, it changes all these values, the total values, anything that says total on it. Same thing's going to happen with the resistance weakening effect side. Same thing with this penetration one. You can make sure that if you do not have the gear on your commander that you put a 0 in it, otherwise it will mess up your calculation. You're only going to add the values to the ones that you have. When it comes to the penetration gear, if you're running 2 alkades, you need to double whatever that percentage is that you currently have. For me specifically, hypothetically, you have 2 alkades at 20 or level 40. Each one gives you 20%, double it, 40. So that's how I got that 40% there in terms of this calculation. I have a little bit more than this just because I do know that one of my alkades are at level 45. But for example, my Devil's Touch is at level 42. So I just put in the value of it, and now I know with Andromeda and Dawn Hall, I'm at 96.2%. With just the Dawn Hall, I'm at 86.2%. I spent a good half a day on this, so I really hope that this is beneficial for somebody. If you find a mistake somewhere, please let me know. I would be happy to update the original document, so that way anybody who downloads it after the fact can have it fixed. Also, let me know if you downloaded it and none of these calculators are working correctly. I can give you the formulas or an example of how to do it in Excel spread, so that way you have the calculator ready to go. All right. So that pretty much wraps that up. I hope that gives everybody a useful tool that they need. Like I said, the links will be in the description. You do need to download an Excel document for you to use this, because I did not make this editable on Google Sheets. I did not want this to get destroyed. I also didn't want 50 people trying to make their calculations at the same time. So download it. I will also put a link for Microsoft's website to where you can use their free web version of Excel. Please leave a like, a comment, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. So for all of you to get this calculator and the spreadsheet and the other links all attached to this, please go to my Discord server. Join my Discord server. It'll be in the announcements section. Till next time.